Project-based learning is a fun new learning methodology that you really need to try with your kids and your students. I recently designed a cool project that me and my children participated in, and it was awesome. And we were able to collaborate and work with critical thinking skills to solve real-world problems. So please stay tuned. For the next 20 minutes, I will share with you the awesome project that me and my children achieved together. Hi, and welcome to the tree planting project. All right, with every project that you want to start, I like to go to the Buck Institute of Education and have a look at the design elements that make a really good project. There are 9 essential elements. If you can hit every single one of these essential elements in your project, you know you are on the right track and you are certain that your project is a worthwhile project. Any successful project needs to have some kind of design project in order to track and manage your journey. I like to use the design cycle, and it's very simple. You discover, you work on a plan, you execute and you do, then you show and you share with an audience, and then very, very important, at the end of your design cycle, you enter through a deep reflection stage where you reflect on every stage of the journey to ensure that your next project that you engage with is better than the one that you did before. So using this design cycle, let's have a look when we place the PBL essential design elements inside the design cycle. This is what it looks like. So here we go. In the green block, we're looking at the project launch. Every good project needs a provocative question. PBL likes to use the word driving question or a challenging problem. So create a launch event, something exciting that captures your audience, captures your students, or captures your team that is working on the project. Then we move into the plan phase. This is where we build knowledge, understanding, and skills that will answer the driving question. Then we jump into the mustard block. This is where we are doing the project, we're developing, we're critiquing, and we're revising the projects that will answer the driving question. Then we go back to our audience and we share and we present our product that we have designed to the public. And this is where we get proper feedback to find out, has all the work we've done, is it answering the driving question? Have we solved the problem that we were trying to solve? Then jumping into reflection at the end of the project, how was our driving question? How was our launch event? Where else could we have deepened our investigation? Did we find all the knowledge and understandings and the skills that we needed? Did we connect with the right people? What were the developing and building skills? How were those? What did we learn? What didn't we learn? What would have helped us to achieve our project? And how are we sharing? How and what does our sharing look like in front of an audience? How could we improve on our presenting skills? So this was a project for me. I really had a job that I needed to do. I identified a problem in my own garden at home. So I thought I'd try to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, sort out the problem in the garden, and take my own children through the project process so that they could learn something about projects. So working with my own kids, I have a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old, and together we were going to sort out this little garden problem in the garden. So of course, following the PBL essential elements, I started off with my launch event, and my launch event went a little bit like this. Hey, 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 come and see what I found. What, Daddy, what? Well, my kids came and had a look and really wanted to find out what I was on about what I was trying to find. And I took them into the garden and I showed them this tiny baby tree. And this was a great opportunity to introduce my driving question. Where do baby trees come from? And that got us talking and discussing. Baby trees come from God. Baby trees come from seeds. Baby trees get planted. They get purchased from a nursery and they get planted. So we just kept, we had a nice big discussion trying to figure out where this tree came from. Eventually, I led them and guided them to have a close look at the leaves to try to see if we could potentially find an adult tree that's inside our garden. So that sent us on a big searching journey to try to find out where the heck this baby tree came from. And eventually our searching brought us underneath this really beautiful Chinese maple tree. We had a look at the seeds. We explored. We tried to match the baby leaves with the big leaves, and it was a perfect match. We looked at the seeds, which is like a propeller wing, which the kids found quite intriguing. We grabbed a few of these seeds, put them in our hands, threw them in the air, and watched how they spiraled down to earth like a helicopter propeller. And that's how, then we asked the question, how did this baby tree, being about 15 meters away from the adult tree, how did it get there? The wind plays a part in seed dispersal. So there was some awesome learning there. And then in order to keep my children intrigued, I pitched to them my secondary question, which went like this. I explained to the children that if we left these baby trees in the ground, they were going to grow and become a massive, large tree. And then we asked the question to my wife and to myself, do we really want this tree here? So that was really helpful. My wife said, actually, guys, I don't want another tree here. I'm very happy with where these trees are. Is it possible that you could move them? So then that sparked some brilliant insight where we introduced a secondary question that went like this. How can we as environmental scientists teach people about the life cycles of trees, garden projects, and teamwork by helping move the baby Chinese maples we find in the garden to a safe temporary place? Everything we've spoken about up until now, the launch event, introducing the driving question, and doing a whole lot of learning about trees and where trees come from, is all around building the why. Building the why is immensely important before launching, before starting and executing your project, because you need the buy-in from your partners and teammates and stakeholders. You need their buy-in. So building the why is important. Once you have the buy-in, the rest is easy. So any good project needs a good team. Okay, so now we're going to work together to solve this problem of moving trees out of the ground into a safe place. So what do we need? What's fair? How do we split the jobs? When will we know we're finished? Are we going to need to show our work to somebody else? Do we need a presentation? And why is it important to help Dad transplant these trees? And maybe can we create a bit of art? Do you want to do a bit of painting? Maybe we can encourage these baby trees before their major transplanting operation. So that all these questions help build the why and get the building. So staying with project planning, I went over to eduScrum to use a project tracking management system, which is really, really awesome. So here we are brainstorming all the little jobs, writing down all the answers that to split up all the jobs and tasks needed to achieve this project. We write them down in sticky notes and we put them on a to-do list, and we identify what's busy and how do we know when we're done. The eduScrum flop board really helps with that. After we've planned our project, we go through it one more time, making sure we understand jobs, roles, and responsibilities. Who's looking after what? Is everybody doing the same thing? No. We don't have a lot of time to finish this, so each person has to carry some weight and do some of the project. As you can see, our mustard block, the doing phase, the developing phase, is starting to creep into the building knowledge and understanding phase of the project. The reason it's creeping in is because all these things, the flop board, the sticky notes, anything that we create on piece of papers, little scribbles on a notepad, form part of the artifacts that we will use as our presentation. Artifacts that we will use in our presentation when we engage with our audience. So it was time to start. We've done all the planning that we need to do. Now we answer the question, how many baby trees are there? How many trees are we going to be working with? So we went back into the garden, started counting and spotting all the baby trees that we could find. And amazingly enough, we found 11 baby Chinese maples trees in the garden. So working on some beautiful numeracy skills here. Lovely opportunity to exercise our addition, which led into another exercise where we tried to further understand the numbers, because my son of 7 understood the how to do the addition of the tree. So we, in order to help his baby sister, we went to some paper and cut up some trees and started understanding the numbers and playing around with numbers. So if we had 8 trees that we had already transplanted on the first day, how many trees do we still have to do on the next day? So this was a really great exercise to experiment with some mathematics and addition, and to help teach younger children that are learning mathematical skills. We next moved on to a bit of literacy skills. We wanted to understand what are the tools that are needed for this project to be done. So for the younger kids, we had a tracing exercise where the children were practicing their pencil grip, they were practicing letters and writing skills, which was an excellent exercise, and there they are working brilliantly on the task. After our numeracy and literacy, we thought, right, what else can we do? Let's go and find some paint, and let's see how creative we can be with building our understanding and building more products for our presentation. So we had great fun painting and creating baby maple trees of our own, and also beautiful and opportunity in creative arts is also teaching how to clean up after yourselves, care for paintbrushes, and looking after our equipment. Next up, we needed to assess and check if we were on the right track. So we did a lovely peer assessment exercise where my older son went around with a checklist, and he was making sure that his younger brother understood what every tool looked like, where it lives, and how do we find it, and what its name is. We did some other assessment on our visual art, the equipment, English, and mathematics, and teams, just to ensure that we were on the right track. After we did our assessment, it was on to the next part of the project, which was to get out into the garden and start transplanting those trees. And right from the beginning of our project planning, everybody had a job pre-allocated, so the children knew what they needed to do and they hit the ground running. My youngest son's responsibility was to go and get the soil. He knew that he needed to fill the bucket only halfway. My responsibility as an adult connection on the project was to dig the trees out. My oldest son's responsibility was to receive the trees from the spade, making sure that the sand is still around the roots, and place them into the new pots, and press down the sand in the pots, and then get the baby trees in the pot over to his baby sister. My daughter's responsibility was to get the compost and water. So she handled that process, and all along the journey of this tree transplanting project, we were always counting, always checking, making sure that we were on the right track, because we knew that when we got to 11 trees, we knew that we were done. And when we got to 11 trees, done! Are we done, Dad? Yay, we're done! And I had to ask the question, are we almost done? And no, we weren't. We were just on the right track. We were just on the right process. So next up, we need to create an invitation for the project exhibition, because we had identified 2 people in the family that would appreciate our project. So what we ended up doing was created a lovely invitation. We identified a time in the day and a location where we could present our entire project to our audience. And this moves us to the sharing component of the project. And here we are sharing our journey. The students shared with Granny and Mommy the journey. How did they plan? How did they break up responsibilities and jobs and roles for the project? Then it came to the time where the audience could sit down and enjoy the entire presentation. Roles and responsibilities were allocated here. Every child had a job and responsibility to share to the audience. And at the end of the presentation, we were all smiles. Our target audience was very pleased and very impressed with the project that the students had implemented, and very impressed on how they explained and shared their knowledge and all their learnings. Yay! That was a successful project. But it's not over yet, folks. At the end of our presentation, me and my team cleaned up, put everything back where it was supposed to be, and we had a little sit down and had a reflection. And we sat down and asked the questions of what worked, what happened, what didn't work, what must we never do again, and what should we do again, and what should we do differently in the future should we engage in another project. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope this helps you as an example of a project. It is by no means the way a project rolls out. Companies like project-based learning and the Buck Institute of Education, eduScrum, inquiry-based learning. There's lots and lots of companies out there helping us to give us strategies and plans and frameworks to ultimately teach this generation the 21st century skills that they need. It's all about great teams working together in deep collaboration, exercising control, exercising autonomy, mastery, and purpose, exercising their creativity, their critical thinking skills, and learning how to communicate with their peers, learning to communicate with an audience, with stakeholders, and start now solving the problems that we face in this 21st century that we are currently found ourselves in. So I wish you all the best. Good luck on your project journey, and please feel free to share with me any awesome projects that you are doing too. Great, cheers.